Alright, welcome back to the channel. This is my first mod showcase, and today we're going to be covering essentially all the mods that I use. I think that they're all about worthwhile to download. I use most of them just about all the time, so chances are you'll like some of them as well. Now before we start, there's 3 common dependents for most mods. You want to get ModThatIsNotMod, and that's for most item mods and whatnot. And you also want to make sure that you have custom maps and custom map interactions. And you'll find links to those as well as every other mod in the description. We're going to get started with some of the what I'd like to call code mods. These are mods that have unique functionality, generally speaking. So first off, we have Weldgun, and this turns the gravity welder from the Hoverjunker's sandbox level into an actual welder. So if you're on the Valve Index, you're able to use the touchpad to switch modes. I believe you can also, just tap the menu radial button as well. And they're pretty self-explanatory, so you can just take 2 objects like this plant pot, this crate. I had it on fixed mode, and now they will be fixed together, so one will be a parent of the other one. You've also got a spring mode, so you put the objects at the preferred distance, shoot both of them, and now it's going to act as though a spring is connecting them. So there's also hinge mode, so you put 2 objects at the preferred distance, and then they will hinge around each other. Now, I'll admit, I haven't quite figured out how to set the orientation of the hinge to what I prefer, but it is what it is. And then finally you have unweld, so you just shoot the 2 you want to unweld, and you're good to go. Now, as a quick side note, you can weld something to itself, and that will freeze it in the air. However, because unweld is made for 2 objects, you can't then unfreeze it. Now, with that being said, that brings us to our next mod here, which is custom utilities. And this adds a whole array of new utilities to the utility gun. And akin to the welding mod here, you can weld things together with essentially the same functionality. However, I have found that the Weldgun mod here can sometimes be a little better for welding in sandbox. I've had a few more issues using this one, where you weld 2 things together and then you spawn in another instance of that object and it spawns in welded. So using Weldgun is a pretty good fix for that most of the time. That being said, the custom utilities also adds in some other unique ones. So for instance, you can freeze an object. Let's use this bottle as an example. And instead of it being permanently frozen, you can then say, well, freeze it again. Drops back down. You can also toggle the gravity on an object. So if I turn it off on this, it'll just float through space. And you can also inflate and deflate objects. You can make a zip line. You can use it as a gun. And you can also place balloons and use it as a grappling hook. The grappling hook it works like you'd expect. You hook onto a point, you will then swing around that point, and if you use your right thumbstick, you can push up or down to adjust your height. And while you're on the air, you can also swing and just let go of trigger to let go. You can inflate just about as many times as you want. Every object is going to have some origin point that it inflates around, so in this case it's the corner of this cube, or rectangular prism. And you can also deflate. You can deflate about 8 or 9 times from its original size, after which it will just vanish. Alright, but let's say you want to scale something smoothly instead of in increments like custom utilities. What you want to do is you want to use the slide scale mod. So this is a mod, like a few others I'm going to show, which you access using the bone menu, which is a feature of ModThatIsNotMod. By default, you have to open this menu by going like this, and then it'll appear above your left hand, and then you tip your hands down and it'll close the menu. However, I've changed the config file so that it appears in my radial menu. So, going over to slide scale, we can change a few options. We can toggle the mod on and off. We can have it show ghosts, which is where your hands would be in real life. We've also got mass scaling, so that means if you shrink something down, it'll also shrink its mass by the same ratio. And to use the mod, essentially you just grab something with two hands. So some objects won't work because they only let you grab with one hand, but this milk crate will work as an example. So you grab two hands, hold triggers in. These are the ghosts here, they're showing where your hands would be. And then you just separate your hands to grow, or close your hands in to shrink. And it'll do so smoothly, and it'll do so until you reset your hand's position, basically. Let go of trigger, and you've got your new object there. So that's a good way to actually adjust the mass of an object, is you can scale it down with mass scaling on, turn off mass scaling and scale it back up. However, there is a better way. So let's turn slide scale off for now. So the next mod that I'm going to show is the utilities mod. And this adds, well, various utilities. You can go to scenes and choose different sandbox levels without having to go to the main menu. You can also reload the scene that you're on. You can toggle a god mode. You can also go to spawnables and you can get a utility gun or Nimbus gun. This is also a feature that ModThatIsNotMod has, by the way. So if that's all you want, you don't really need utilities. There is magazine modification, ammo modification, and then the star of the show here, and this is the reason why I got utilities in the first place, because you can do most of this with ModThatIsNotMod, is mass modification. So you can set a mass number, and this is an absolute number. It's not relative to the object that you're going to edit. Grab the object, and then click the button for the respective hand you're grabbing it with. So now we've set this crate to a mass of 1, so we can easily lift and throw it with one hand. If we were to set it much higher, let's say around 20, well, that's around the weight that these normally are. So you can lift it just about to your head height, and then your character gets too weak. Next up is the Spawn Anything mod. So once you activate this mod, all you have to do is spawn in a gun of any type, get some ammo, aim it at something that you normally can't spawn in sandbox mode, so for instance this bench, and if it works, it'll put a name above the gun. In this case it said bench. You go to your props tab, and in this session, if you restart the game, it will clear these. You'll have bench, and you can spawn it in. It'll be rotated the way you are, just like any other prop. Spawn Anything mod, you can actually spawn in things like these teeter-totters. Find a spot for it, and it'll work as intended. And in combination with this mod, I have another one, the Infinite Spawn mod. So normally, if you spawn something in, let's say like bricks, you spawn in like 5 bricks. If you spawn a 6th one in, it would actually get rid of the first one, 7th, get rid of the second one, etc. But with Infinite Spawn, as you might assume, you can spawn as many as you want in. So next I want to showcase the Remote Guns mod, and this lets you take any gun, and you have to go over to your keyboard in real life and press slash. So that's going to be /, not backslash. And then you fire the gun once, and now that gun is registered with the Remote Gun mod. And all you have to do is you have to take your right trigger and push it in like a button, and you should be able to remotely fire it. It looks like I've messed it up though. So, quick note, you want to make sure that your Boneworks window is actually the active window so that it can register the key press. And if I throw it on the ground and use right thumbstick as a button, it will fire the gun for the duration that I have it in. And you won't need to reload the gun either. The only thing is, some pistols, I've had an experience where it'll just fire it once and that's it. So I recommend using weapons that have a full auto mode. Oh, and finally, just before we leave the streets level, I just wanted to show off the Better Bottles mod. So this mod makes it so that when you break a bottle, you're still holding the broken piece. Because if you've played story mode and you've broken bottles in it before, you might know that when you break a bottle, it actually doesn't put it in your hand, so you have to then frantically reach down and grab it. So this solves that issue, which is awesome. Alright, so this is our first custom map that I'm going to show off. This is Itemtest. I believe it's a map ripped from another game, Team Fortress 2. And here I'm going to showcase off a grenade mod. Okay, so as the name might imply, the grenade mod adds its own grenades. So that's these three. We've got a frag grenade, we've got a push grenade, and a void grenade. And I'll show you what all of those do. And it also allows for other mod creators to make their own grenades that work with it. So, for instance, we've got this German World War II stick grenade right here. And all of these grenades have a pin that you can pull. Some of them also have a lever, so for instance, this grenade isn't going to start cooking until I throw it. And then after a small amount of time, it's going to blow. Even destroying those crates over there, so it's quite powerful. And then you've got some other ones. You've got the push grenade here, which when it explodes, it'll push objects, and it'll push them primarily upwards, but also outwards to some degree. Void grenade is like that, but it pulls objects, and then it pushes them. So, sort of like a black hole. And then finally, we've got the aforementioned stick grenade. And I like this one because as soon as you pull that out the bottom, it starts cooking. So you can wait to throw it if you want, and then you're just going to get a more immediate explosion. So, up next I want to show off the Configurable SuperStrength mod. And you can find this again in the Bone menu. And I've got a special version that has been updated to be toggleable. So, in this case I just use it with the default settings, which is essentially, even if you're in slow motion, your character will move almost one-to-one with your motions in real life. So for instance, if I'm in the air, you see I'm moving slow, but my hands can still move fast. And what that means is you can do things like go into slow motion, punch a cement barrier, and just have it fly through the air because you're that strong. One very fun thing to do with this one, just give a good old uppercut and launch something into the sky with it. That's not the best example. Boom! Okay, so next up we've got the CameraPlus mod. And what this mod allows you to do is control the spectator view, so the view on your monitor, not the view in your lenses. So to show you that, I'm going to turn it into the spectator window for this recording. Normally I just record directly from my right eye, but in this case you're actually seeing the desktop view. So what you do to toggle this mod is you right click in the desktop. One sec here. There, so you right click in the desktop and all of these settings appear. And you can control this from VR, which is what I'm doing right now just by pausing in Steam VR. You can use your trigger to left click, press on your pad if you're a Valve Index user to right click. And so you've got a few different modes. You've got GoPro mode. You do have to double click these sometimes, by the way. And GoPro mode just switches spectator from left eye to right eye, but it also allows you to adjust your field of view, as well as some post-processing effects. So as an example here, I can actually turn the field of view up crazy high, click apply. Well, now you've got this freakishly high field of view. Same thing, you can make it lower. And we're just going to leave it lower in this case. Headset mode is just the default. And spectator mode, if I set that up right, adds a little camera where you were looking. And you'll notice that your head's missing. Well, you can turn that back on. Bam! And then finally, you also have the option to enable the third-person camera. So if you enable that, you'll end up with the camera following you instead. Just where your head looks, essentially. And you can adjust if you want to have it offset or not. So for instance, you can say, well, I don't really want it offset, but I want it up higher than normal. Well, you can do that. And then it'll be so. So pretty nice mod. Also lets you adjust the Nimbus gun speed, by the way. And yeah, I definitely recommend it. Alright, and before we move on to another custom map here to show some more mods, I want to show the custom MonoDisk Songs mod. So it adds two things. One is a folder that you can put your own music in the form of a .wav file. And the second is you can actually spawn a monodisk in, like so, provided you've already loaded in a scene that has a monodisk. So for instance, some of the sandbox levels like Blank Box or Museum Basement have one. So if you were to then put it on, I'm just going to sort it by alphabetical. And I've added a custom song here. There we go. So this is Anonymous by White Bat Audio. Good royalty-free music if you ever want any. The only thing is, I found that the volume can be really low with this. So I haven't quite figured out how to fix that yet. So next up for maps, we have GM Construct. So this is a map ported from another game called Garry's Mod, another sandbox game. And naturally that makes this, well, a good sandbox level. Now, the reason that I've come to this map is actually because I want to showcase rifles next, and we can actually snipe between different apartment towers here. Okay, so we've got our guns in here. I'd like to start with this one. And this is a quite nice one because, well, I don't know, it's just got a very classic feel to it. Good scope. The only criticism I have with it, and we're going to see this in a sec here, is the scope resolution is a bit lower than a lot of other guns. So just looking through it right now, it is pretty pixelated. So we're not going to do it with the long range targets, but we're going to do it with the sort of medium range ones that I've set up here. Just these monitors up here. So you take a shot, load the next round in, and rinse and repeat. And once you're out of ammo, the slide actually stays back here, or the lever I should say, stays back. Load that round in. Let's see if we can break this monitor or not. Bam. Nicely done. And then next we have the M1 Garand. So this one, it's got a nice, easy to use sight. The only criticism I have of it is it's pretty bulky on the edges, so it's harder for long range, but still quite accurate, easy to line up, and it has just the most incredible sound. Once you empty it out, just that ping as it flies out is just music to my ears. So I'm going to bring this to my medium range targets as well. And just, yeah, really easy to line up. And I think I'm aiming a little too high again. Let's aim a little lower. There we go, we got it. But yeah, really nice, easy to use, and it also comes with a variant with a bayonet on the end, if you're into that. Okay, whoop. So this one is the Concept Art MK18, and you'll actually see this on the Steam page for the game, just in your library. The art for it has forward using this. So it's got a nice green glow-in-the-dark sight here. It's sort of along the lines of the M1 Garand we just looked at in terms of usability, except you could use this for longer range because it does give you a better view around the reticle. Now it is full auto. And unlike the one in the game, you can't use the thumb pad to turn it into single fire mode. At least not from my attempts here. We'll just try and get that last monitor. Oh yeah, and we definitely got it. Just a little harder to tell when you've got multiple rounds going off at once. And for our final rifle, this is an anti-tank rifle, and it is crazy heavy. If I were to hold this by the barrel just to show you, just trying to hold it up, sags down, hold it by two hands, it is just the heaviest club you could possibly get. So this one, you load one just massive round in at a time. Easiest if you kind of set it against your character and then try and slap it in there. But it is pretty difficult. Pull the lever. And this one actually has a very, very good scope. So we're going to try and hit one of those monitors. Oh, and we got it. First shot. Now that did take quite some time. I am pretty shaky with aiming these, but works pretty well. The only criticisms I have with this one is, again, the loading can be pretty finicky at times. And then also sometimes the slide pops out of your hand just a little too easy. But other than that, solid weapon. I like that one a lot. And just to showcase the water here in the map real quick, it is pretty crazy. So if you throw something into the water, if you throw something large into the water, it will actually make ripples in the water. Like so. And it's just that little detail that makes it just so nice, so perfect. And if you wanted to build something like a total wipeout course, this is exactly where I'd build that. Alright, so next up for maps, this is loot crates. And you can get this as a nighttime or daytime variant. And there's also a sandbox or arena variant. And if you do break the loot crates around the map, they will drop random items, which is super cool. Okay, so to show off the pistols and handguns and whatnot, I've set up a little target range here. So I've got a whole bunch of bricks that you can shoot down all over the place. And I figured this would be a good opportunity to showcase the Worklamp mod. And so this Worklamp is just, it's sort of like the flashlight from the game, but way larger, much better range, and it still casts shadows as well, which is cool. That also means that it'll have a bit more of a performance impact though. Keep things nice and well lit. And I'm going to get another one, and I'm going to put it on the other side. There we go. And yeah, as you can see, we've got our own shadow here as well. Okay, so we're just going to go through these one by one, starting with this one, which I think is pretty funny. This is the Zip 22. Oh, let me just get some ammo. Okay, this is the Zip 22. Absolutely tiny gun, tiny magazine, insignificant amount of damage. You can shoot like glass bottles with this multiple times without breaking them. You can hold it with two hands. Got a little sight. There we go. Pretty easy to use. It also comes with a version with a scope, which I find pretty funny. And then the scoped one as well as this other one have a 25 or so round chamber. Or magazine, I should say. Next up, this is the Raging Bull Revolver. So you actually load it as you would. Aim down sights. And again, pretty accurate sights. I find most of the guns that I actually keep around are fairly accurate and easy to use. And then once it's empty, you can just get another one in, and you're good to go. So this is the 50GS, and you'll find it in the links down below as the MW Deagle, but it's called the 50GS in the game. I feel like this is probably the heaviest hitting pistol that I've got, so you might even be able to show some of that here. No. But if you hit some things with this, they'll just go flying, or you hit a character, you know, they'll just be like, pow, poof. Very powerful. Okay, so this one, on a similar note to the other, is the Deagle. It's fully made of cardboard. And all of the sounds are mouth sounds. I think it's hilarious. But it is crazy powerful. It's sort of the ultimate joke weapon. You can kill any enemy with one shot from this. Guaranteed. Next up, we got the flintlock. This one can be a little awkward to load. You have to kind of take the pellet, put it in the end, as you would with a flintlock. And then you don't really have any iron sights, so you just gotta go off the shape of the gun. And as you can see, yeah, the difficulty loading isn't just from how you load it, it's just not super reliable. Sometimes there, so I think that's probably the angle you want, is like this. Yeah. Once you learn it, you can get it down pretty good. Like so. And then here, these are the Red Dragon Deagles. So we've got the regular one. And similar to this one, it's another heavy hitter. But I guess you'd expect that with a Deagle in the first place. It's also got this very nice tactical variant. So you've got a red laser. You've also got, I'd call it a scope. It's almost like more like a sight. And if I'm not mistaken, it zooms out instead of zooming in, which, I don't know. Kind of weird, but it works. And the laser is also very accurate. And then the final variant of this is the Admin Deagle. So this never runs out of ammo. It fires a crazy number of rounds. And in fact, if I get 2 of these, you will actually get liftoff. And it can help sometimes if you start by jumping. But yeah, it'll help you fly through the air. Somehow, I almost forgot to put this gun in the review, so I'm editing this in post. This is a normal gun. That's about it. It's a normal gun. Big fan of it. Very easy to aim. And when you need to reload, well, you get a new one. It's just such a simple charm, you know, for such a goofy concept, and I like it for that. Okay, so I figured the best place to show off shotguns would be here at the handgun course, at the little timed section. And I've got 3 shotguns that I want to show off. So the first one here is the pump shotgun. And this one is fully customizable. So you can grab the top to add a grenade launcher. Grab it again to remove it. Grab the base. And you get a whole settings panel. So you can add a foregrip, hollow sight, knife. You know, pretty self-explanatory. And you can also choose what color you want. So I'm just going to reset it. And then you grab it again to put it away. And this one, you load the shells in the bottom. If I remember correctly, it holds about 6. Yeah, so if you held the 7th one, it would have to eject one. And then you just, as pump shotguns go, pump, fire, pump, and fire. And we're just going to put the ammo back in there. Put it on our shoulder. And then we've got the double barrel shotgun. So this one, to open and close, you have a little interaction point right here. And then you have to load like that. Fire twice. and then you can open it up and reload. And you can get quite quick at it, even though it is a 3 or 4 step process. And then on a similar note, this is the super shotgun. Works essentially the same way, except it'll actually auto-eject shells for you. And this thing is insane. This if you shoot like a crablet with this, it will knock it across the map. We're going to put that on our back, and we're just going to run through the course and go through a few different shotguns while we do that. Alright, so next up for maps we have Rune, and this is a pretty expansive one. It's got all these different areas, and you can access them through portals around this central hub. So next up here, we have the Lightsaber mod. And this is similar to the pump shotgun in that you can grab the base of it and change the color on demand. Do whatever you'd like. And instead of like physically hitting enemies and then bouncing off, this will actually pass through them and deal damage while it's passing through. So they'll keep their momentum after you slash through them. And then you just remove any hand from the hilt and it shuts right off. And then next up, this is a pretty funny little one. It's the Propeller Hat. So you put it on your head like you would with other hats in the game. And then through Bone Menu, you can go Propeller Hat and turn it on. And then you tip your head to control it. And then you can turn it off on demand. And it does just enough force to kind of move you around. Okay, so I'm going to show 2 mods off at once now. So first is the shurikens. And if you throw them, they stay nice and straight. You know, pretty simple mod, but just the sort of throwing knife that the game's missing, you know? I find them pretty fun, easy to use. And we're going to combine these with the Trashcan-non. Trash cannon. So this is, well, a trash can. You load it up with stuff. Grab on, aim where you want to go, and I'm going to fire this in slow motion because this thing, it packs a punch. Boom. They just spray everywhere. I've had times where I've fired things out of this and it's just punctured right through multiple walls. It's just gone faster than the physics can simulate. And there is a little bonus with this. When you use the trigger, it thrusts itself forwards. And that means that you can actually weld this to things like shopping carts and well, you've got your own little rocket-powered car. It's pretty fun. And last but not least, we're going to get the microwave cannon. And I'll just get some enemies to attack here. Maybe get a gun to get their attention. So this, you hold in trigger, charges up for a bit, and then it just does like this spray of a ton of tiny little damaging particles in front of it. So the closer you are, the more focused that spray is going to be. So yeah, fun little weapon. It's got neat trade-off there. Doesn't use ammo or anything, so it can be quite powerful, but yeah. Alright, so now we're at our final map, and this is Wuhu Island from Wii Sports Resort. This holds a special place in my heart. I have good memories of going over to a cousin's house and playing this. So you can actually turn on the actual music from the game, which I'll refrain from doing for copyright reasons. You can change the time. There's even this fun one where the skybox turns to a big error message. You can also choose whether the water hurts you or not if you get into it. If you go over to the cruise ship, you can actually just walk right on board and it'll bring you to the golfing island. And there's a similar one over by the arena. So you can choose to go to the arena. It's got the little arena music. You can choose to spawn some characters in with a button. If you toss them off, it even has the sound effects. And it comes with a little blue baton in the middle. But the main reason that we're here is actually to showcase the various vehicles that I have here as mods. So we're going to start off with the BAC Mono, or BAC Mono, however you'd like to say it. So this one is pretty fun to drive. You hop in, and just so that your character doesn't end up standing up like this, I do recommend you sit down in real life, so that you're nice and snug in the car. And controls, you have left trigger to reverse, right grip to brake, right trigger to accelerate, and then left stick to turn. Now, it will turn the car, but it won't turn your view, so you will have to turn your view yourself. But, yeah. Let's take this for a spin. Now, the only thing is you do have to be a little cautious driving this because it takes a long time to brake once you've got up to speed. But other than that, really smooth experience. You can go off ramps and everything you want, really. Weld stuff to it. It's up to you. And then, yeah, getting out is as simple as standing up in real life, standing up in the game, and just hopping out. Okay, so next up, we've got a motorhome with loose toilet paper rolls and everything. It's got a nice physical door, up inside, fully fleshed out interior. You've got plates in the sink. You've got a knife somewhere. We'll probably trip over that later. Bedroom, toilet, everything you need. And this works exactly the same as the BAC Mono. So to get in, you have to grab the handle here, hoist yourself up and over. Oh, try that again. There we go. And then you're stuck in the seat. I recommend you sit down in real life once again. There we go. And same controls as before. So right grip to brake, right trigger for gas, left trigger for reverse, and left stick to steer. We'll just take this for a nice little drive. And needless to say, this has room for all of the characters that you want to bring with you on your little RV trip. Hopefully you don't immediately hit a tree like I just did. And we just barely fit over this bridge. So yeah, I mean, you could go for a nice little motorhome tour through Wuhu Island if you wanted to. And of course, as you're driving this, you've got like the door flapping, you've got toilet roll going all over the floor. It's pretty hilarious. Oh, and it's also worth mentioning, you've got all sorts of grip points around this, including the ladder on the back. So I mean, this really has everything you need for like a motorhome roleplay or something like that. And this is our final mod of the day. So this is the Hover Junkers frigate ship, and this is taken from a previous Stress Level 0 game, Hover Junkers, of which some assets are, you know, in the default Boneworks game as well. And it flies just like the other Hover Junker we have in the game. Well, I say just like, I think it's a little more stable, turns a little better, and of course, it's bigger. I mean, you can actually fit stuff in here. So we can take that for a spin. And it's got these nice holographic control levers as well, which I like. And yeah, you can just get a nice view of the island. Alright, anyways, that's going to be it for this mod showcase. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I found some good mods for you to download. And again, if you want to get any of these mods, I've got links in the description for every single one. I've got all the credits down there, everything you need to set up mods. So, yeah, I mean, go out there, have some fun. I'll see you in the next one.